If you grew up in the late 90s or early 2000s, you probably remember Johnny Bravo, the muscle-bound, Elvis-voiced goofball who was always chasing girls and getting into trouble. The show was loud, colorful, and full of slapstick humor, never taking itself too seriously. But there's a story that's been whispered about in lost media circles, a story that never made it to TV. Fans call it Mirror Room, and those who claim to know the truth say it's the one episode that was never meant to be found. I first heard about it from a friend who was obsessed with old cartoons and the mysteries behind them. He told me that Mirror Room was more than just a rumor. According to him, it was a real episode, created during the show's original run, but pulled before it ever aired. The story goes that the episode was discovered on an old VHS tape, hidden in a box of production materials that was supposed to be destroyed. Only a handful of people have ever seen it, and those who have say it's nothing like the rest of the series. The episode supposedly starts like any other. Johnny is strutting down the street, flexing and winking at every girl he passes. The animation is a little rougher than usual, the colors slightly off, but at first it just feels like an early draft. Johnny spots a new building in town, a mysterious funhouse that's just opened up overnight. The sign out front reads, "Mirror Room, see your true self." Johnny, always up for a challenge and hoping to impress the ladies, heads inside. At first it's all played for laughs. Johnny makes faces at his reflection, flexes his muscles, and tries out cheesy pickup lines on the mirrored walls. But as he moves deeper into the funhouse, the mirrors start to change. His reflection lags behind, moving a split second too late. Sometimes the reflection doesn't move at all, just stares back at him with a blank expression. The music fades, replaced by a low, unsettling hum. Johnny starts to get nervous. He calls out for help, but his voice echoes strangely, bouncing back at him from every direction. The hallways twist and turn, and no matter which way he goes, he always ends up back in front of the same mirror. The reflection in the glass is no longer him. It's taller, thinner, its eyes too wide, its smile too sharp. Johnny tries to leave, but the doors are gone, replaced by endless rows of mirrors stretching into darkness. The episode lingers on Johnny's face as he realizes he's trapped. The familiar humor is gone, replaced by a sense of dread. The last thing you see is Johnny reaching out to touch the glass, his reflection doing the same. But when their hands meet, the reflection's fingers wrap around his, pulling him into the mirror as the screen cuts to black. The screen stays black for a few seconds, long enough to make you wonder if the tape is broken. Then the picture returns, but everything is different. The colors are washed out, the animation jittery, and the funhouse is empty except for rows and rows of mirrors. Johnny is nowhere to be seen. Instead, the camera glides slowly through the endless corridors, the only sound a faint, echoing hum. As the camera moves, you catch glimpses of movement in the mirrors, shadows flickering just out of sight, faces that look almost like Johnny's but not quite. Some are smiling, some are frowning, some are just staring with wide, unblinking eyes. The reflections don't match the camera's movement. Sometimes they lag behind, sometimes they move ahead, and sometimes they freeze completely, their mouths opening in silent screams. The camera finally stops in front of a single mirror, cracked and dirty. For a moment, there's nothing. Then Johnny's face appears, but it's wrong. His hair is limp, his eyes are hollow, and his trademark grin is twisted into something desperate. He presses his hands against the glass, mouthing words you can't hear. The hum grows louder, vibrating through the speakers, and the other reflections start to gather behind him, their faces melting and shifting in the warped glass. Suddenly the screen flickers with static, and you see flashes of Johnny running through the funhouse, pounding on the mirrors, begging to be let out. The reflections taunt him, mimicking his movements, their voices layered over each other in a distorted chorus. Who's the real Johnny? Who's the real Johnny? The laughter is warped, echoing, and the music never returns. According to the legend, the episode doesn't end there. Some people claim that if you keep watching, you'll see a single frame of Johnny's reflection staring straight at the viewer, his eyes wide and pleading. Others say the screen flickers one last time, showing a room full of mirrors, each one holding a different version of Johnny, some smiling, some crying, some pounding on the glass, all trapped. I tried to find proof of mirror room, a clip, a screenshot, anything, but every time I got close, the trail went cold. Lost media forums are filled with people searching for the episode, trading stories and theories, but no one has ever produced a full recording. Some claim to have found old VHS tapes at garage sales or in thrift stores, but the footage is always corrupted, the audio warped and filled with static. Others say the episode is cursed, that anyone who watches it is plagued by nightmares of endless mirrors and faces that aren't quite their own. Now, whenever I see Johnny Bravo reruns, I feel a little uneasy. I remember the stories, the image of Johnny trapped behind the glass, the laughter that never quite sounds right. And I wonder if the episode is still out there, waiting for someone new to find it. I kept searching, hoping to find someone who could confirm the story, or at least explain where it came from. I messaged old animators, scoured fan forums, and even reached out to people who claimed to have worked on Johnny Bravo in the early days. Most never replied, or just laughed off my questions. But one night, I got an anonymous email. The subject line was blank, and the message was short. Some reflections are better left unseen. Attached was a single image, a blurry screenshot of Johnny in the mirror room, his face half lit by the glow of a cracked bulb overhead. The quality was terrible, but I recognized the scene from the stories. In the background, the mirrors seemed to stretch on forever, and if you looked closely, you could just make out the outline of other Johnnies, their faces twisted in fear or frozen in silent screams. I stared at the image for a long time, feeling a chill run down my spine. Was it real or just a clever fake? I couldn't tell, but I saved it anyway. After that, the dreams started. I'd find myself wandering through endless hallways lined with mirrors, my own reflection lagging behind or moving ahead, never quite matching my movements. Sometimes I'd see Johnny in the glass, pounding on the inside, his voice muffled and desperate. Other times I'd see other faces, some familiar, some not, staring back at me from the darkness. I'd wake up sweating, the sound of the hum still ringing in my ears. I stopped searching for the episode after that. Every time I thought about it, I'd feel a wave of unease, as if something was warning me to leave it alone. But the story kept spreading. More people posted about their own experiences, strange dreams, corrupted files, TVs turning on by themselves late at night, always to a screen filled with static and the faint sound of laughter. Some fans started to believe that mirror room wasn't just a lost episode, but a kind of curse, a story that infects anyone who hears about it, making them see things that aren't there, dream things they can't explain. Others said it was a metaphor for identity, a way for the show's creators to explore the fear of not knowing who you really are. But no one could explain the details that kept cropping up. The static, the endless mirrors, the sense that something was watching from the other side of the glass. Now, whenever I see an old Johnny Bravo rerun, I feel a little uneasy. I remember the stories, the image in that email, the dreams that still haunt me. Then I wonder if the episode is still out there, waiting for someone new to find it. I wish I could say the nightmares faded, that the story of Mirror Room eventually became just another creepy internet rumor. But the truth is, it's always there, lurking in the back of my mind. Sometimes, when I'm alone in a quiet room, I'll catch a glimpse of my reflection and wonder if it's really moving with me, or if it's just pretending. I'll turn on the TV late at night and find the screen flickering, and for a split second, I'll see Johnny's face, distorted, pleading, trapped behind the glass. I've learned to live with it, in a way. I don't talk about the episode anymore, and I avoid anything to do with lost media. But every so often, someone will bring it up, a friend, a stranger online, even a random post on social media. The details are always the same: the lost episode, the static, the endless mirrors, the sense that something is watching from the other side. And every time, I feel that old fear creeping back in, cold and sharp as the sound of laughter echoing down an empty hallway. Some people say the episode is still out there, hidden on an old VHS tape in someone's attic, or buried deep in the archives of a forgotten server. Others believe it's just a story, a cautionary tale about the dangers of vanity and the fear of losing yourself. But those of us who've seen the images, who've heard the hum in the dark, know better. We know that some stories have a way of sticking with you, of changing the way you see the world. Now, whenever I see Johnny Bravo on TV, I hesitate before watching. I remember the mirror room, the laughter, the way Johnny's eyes seemed to follow me even after the screen went dark. I wonder if the episode is still waiting for someone new to find it, someone new to carry the story forward. And I wonder if, somewhere out there, Johnny is still trapped in that endless maze of mirrors, reaching out for help that never comes. So if you ever hear about Mirror Room, or find yourself tempted to search for lost episodes late at night, remember my story. Some things are better left lost, some episodes are better left unwatched, and some reflections, no matter how curious you are better left unseen. Because once you've seen the other side of the glass, once you've heard the laughter that doesn't belong to you, you'll never look at Johnny Bravo or your own reflection the same way again. I still get messages from people who stumble across the legend for the first time. They always start the same way: curiosity, a little skepticism, maybe even a joke about how a cartoon could be so unsettling. But after a while, the tone changes. They ask if I've ever really seen the episode, if the dreams ever stop, if the feeling of being watched ever goes away. I never know what to tell them. I want to say it's all just a story, that it can't hurt you if you don't believe in it. But I know better. Sometimes I wonder if the episode is more than just a lost piece of animation. Maybe it's a kind of test, a way to see who's willing to look too closely, to dig too deep. Maybe it's a warning, A reminder that some things are meant to stay hidden. Or maybe it's just a story that got out of control, spreading from one person to the next, growing darker and more twisted with every retelling. But every so often I'll hear from someone who claims they've found a copy, an old VHS tape, a corrupted file, a link that only works once before disappearing forever. They always say the same thing. The episode is worse than they imagined. The colors are wrong, the sounds are distorted, and Johnny's eyes haunt their dreams for weeks afterward. Some say they can't watch Johnny Bravo anymore, that the theme song makes them uneasy. Others say they hear a faint hum or laughter when they turn off the TV at night. I try not to think about it too much. I keep my lights on, my curtains closed, and my TV unplugged when I'm not using it. I avoid lost media forums, and I don't go looking for stories about cursed episodes. But the legend of Mirror Room is always there, waiting in the background, a shadow at the edge of my vision. If you're reading this, maybe you're curious too. Maybe you think it's just a story, something to laugh about with your friends. But if you ever find yourself alone at night, with the sound of laughter in your ears and the feeling that someone is watching you from the other side of the glass, remember what I've told you. Some episodes are better left lost. Some stories are better left untold. And if you ever see Johnny's face staring back at you from a mirror, his eyes wide and pleading, the room behind him stretching on forever, turn off the TV, walk away, don't look back, because in Mirror Room, the real nightmare isn't what you see on the screen. It's what follows you when the episode ends. I wish I could say there's a way to break the spell, to shake off the feeling that Mirror Room leaves behind. But the truth is, once you know the story, it's hard to forget. It lingers in the quiet moments, in the flicker of a screen, in the uneasy silence that settles just before you fall asleep. I've learned to live with it, to keep my distance from old cartoons and lost media. But the memory is always there, waiting. Sometimes I'll catch myself glancing at the TV, half expecting to see Johnny's eyes staring back at me from the static. Other times, I'll hear a faint hum, like the one that filled the background of that episode, and I'll freeze, heart pounding, until I convince myself it's just the refrigerator or the pipes in the wall. But deep down, I know better. I know that some stories have a way of reaching out, of finding you no matter how far you run. I've talked to others who feel the same. Some have tried to track down the episode, convinced that if they can just see it for themselves, the mystery will finally make sense. But every time the trail goes cold, the files are corrupted, the tapes are blank, the links disappear as soon as you click them. It's as if the episode doesn't want to be found, or maybe as if it's waiting for the right person to find it. So if you ever hear about Mirror Room, or if you find yourself drawn to stories about lost episodes and hidden secrets, remember this. Curiosity can be dangerous. Some things are better left alone, no matter how tempting they seem. And if you ever see a flash of static and a pair of wide, desperate eyes in the corner of your screen, don't look too closely. Don't listen to the laughter. Don't try to remember the details, because some episodes aren't just stories. Some episodes are warnings, and some nightmares, once they find you, never really let you go. So turn off the TV, close your laptop, and let the story fade. Trust me, there are some secrets you don't want to uncover. And Mirror Room is one of them.